Hi, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Talk TV. And I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we provide information and truth to bring awareness to humanity. And today's topic is the journey down the rabbit hole with Kate Elyse Jeffery. And Kate is a channel of love, a musician, activator, grid worker, guide, and healer. And with that, I'd love to welcome Kate to the show. Hey, Kate.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. You are so welcome. Hey, and thanks for all the viewers who are tuning in. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining. And I'm going to just kind of scroll down here. So, so let's get started. Let's just start with your awakening, this journey.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the platform you created. It's wonderful. It's very important at this time for the collective. I did feel into this because I am being strongly guided to release the past and just to center into the now. But I checked in and it was a strong yes to just be straight out and to share my truth, to help light the way for others who may be experiencing things that they can't quite make sense of. So in saying that, take you back to the beginning. I was born in Perth, Western Australia, to two incredible parents, and I have two little brothers who I adore very much. I was lucky enough to grow up next door to my grandparents. It was quite a magical childhood for me. I was born a seer, so essentially I could see into the spirit realm. I have memories of playing with fairies in my grandma's garden, being taught to make fairy gardens and stuff like that. I have also vivid memories of falling asleep and seeing elementals. I now know what they're called, but at the time they would show up as like little neon dots of color that would sort of take the form of elves and things that would dance in the doorway as I fell asleep. One vivid memory that I have as I was falling asleep, I was probably around 8, and I remember seeing the spirit of, I believe it was an Ethiopian lady, and she had the long neck stretchers on, and she was so tall that she had to duck her head to get under the door frame. And I remember just laying there being quite fearful, held my breath. And then I was sort of called to action to go in after her because she went into my brother's room. And as I followed her in, she disappeared. And I remember, just being quite shocked. I leant down and grabbed my little brother's hand, and I was like, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And of course he didn't. So they thought I was quite new. But, anyway,
that's so cute.
Yeah, it was interesting, that's for sure. Primary school and high school were quite awkward for me. I'm an extremely sensitive empath, and I didn't know at the time that I was taking on the thoughts and feelings of the people around me. So I contracted. I lost touch with that aspect of myself. The gifts sort of dissolved. But music became my outlet, actually. I remember being 10 and picking up a guitar for the first time, and one of the first songs I wrote was about a dream, a soul yearning to meet my soulmate. And I remember my mum was so pleased and so shocked that this kid, 10 years old, had come up with this song, I guess, and took me next door to Grandma and Grandpa's house and had me play it. And they all celebrated, I guess.
Wow.
The second, important memory that I have was September 11, actually. I remember waking up and I was preparing for school camp, and my mum was sitting on the table in front of the television screen and just watching as the news replayed over and over, just this horrific this horrific footage of the Twin Towers collapsing, and she was crying, and it shook me. It really shook me.
Yeah.
It shook me to the core, and that was when I came out with, I channeled this other song, and I remember this like soul yearning. It was such a deep desire to help heal the world, essentially. I can't really explain it better than that. And I channeled this song, and yeah, it was a beautiful healing song, just directed with that heart-directed intent to help heal the pain of the collective. I now understand it to be that. So yeah, music was my outlet. It was a big channel for me growing up. Yeah, it was like the direct connection to my soul, and it provided me with some deep healing and an outlet. So just reading from my notes here so I don't get lost, but after high school, I entered the dark night of the soul. It was a long and drawn-out experience where I was in deep, deep, deep suffering. It spanned around 10 years, give or take.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really, really intense. Started with an abusive relationship, and then quite a toxic one after that. And just cutting a long story short, the first two people I opened my heart to ended up rallying together, moving into the house next door to my family, and proceeding to make my life a living hell, excuse my language, for around 4 years straight. During this time, both of my parents got sick, one after the other. I felt trapped, isolated, completely disconnected from the light within, and isolated, I think I said that. I had nowhere to turn. I honestly could not see the light out of that tunnel, and it was a long, long, long period of time. I stopped playing music because I couldn't, because every time I picked up my guitar, they'd be literally under my window mocking me. It was crazy. So I started to run from the pain. I started to numb from the pain. I got involved with the wrong people innocently. I was really just trying to find my place, I guess. So this all dragged out, and I remember things started to shift. I actually found a friend who was quite a significant moment in my soul journey, and he was actually going through. He was struggling with he's battling cancer and not winning the fight. And I remember he read me the book, The Alchemist. I was able to open up to him about everything that was going on, and he read me the book, The Alchemist, one night. And he told me that I needed to get back in touch with the guitar and literally hold it. He's like, take it to bed, put it next to you, like reconnect to that heart aspect, reignite it, reignite the flame. So I did. And yeah, things started to shift. During this time, though, I felt so lost. I did start to seek, I guess. I got into self-help books and spirituality and crystals and that kind of magic. That's when that really ignited. So the light started to turn on again. My life started to shift. I entered a very healing relationship, very supportive. And I grew a lot. I started working in the health industry. I found a career that provided me with a lot of satisfaction. I felt like I was helping a lot of people, and yeah, I felt really, really driven, and yeah, started to get all my confidence back, and life was starting to look up again. I got into DJing, actually. I remember in the alignment of balancing a relationship, full-time job, which was very stressful with DJing, and I was sort of like burning the candle at both ends in a sense, and yeah, it wasn't really working for me. My partner at the time really wanted to travel, and that wasn't in my heart space. I was really stubborn, and I wanted to do music. I wanted to DJ. I didn't want to go and travel the world. That wasn't really on my timeline at that stage. And there was also some fear around asking for time off as well. Like, I didn't want to risk losing my job. It provided me with a lot of security and safety and yeah. So I ended up giving in and taking some time. And it's interesting, like, I booked this 6-week trip and just when I'd surrendered to that, they broke up with me. And it was quite a shock. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was quite a shock because all of a sudden I had this trip booked and it wasn't my dream. I couldn't get a refund. And this was when I first was sort of led to connect to something higher for guidance. I remember being in such fear because I had this trip and I had no idea, like, what to do or how it was going to all play out. And anyway, I was lying in bed one night and I looked up at the ceiling and I had tears coming out of both eyes, and I was just like, God, give me a sign. Like, give me a sign that I'll be okay. Just give me a sign. And I went to sleep and I had this dream. This is where the rabbit comes into this. All of a sudden, I'm in the ocean and I'm holding this white rabbit, this bunny, and I had to let my bunny free. I had to set it free. And so I'm standing in the ocean and I'm looking at the shore, so the waves are all crashing behind me, and I put my bunny down into the sea, and I felt in spirit that I had this friend next to me, and I turned to the friend and I said, is he going to be okay? Like, is he going to learn to fend for himself? And the friend goes, of course he will. It's instinctual. So I set him free, and as I set him free, this red helium balloon was set off at the same time, and the bunny, I watched as he jumped into the distance, into the shore, chasing this red helium balloon as it went into the sky. And as the balloon disappeared, he turned back around and started jumping back towards me, back into the ocean. And then these waves came and just like churned him under the sea. And I quite frantically went in to save him. And I pulled him up out of the waves and started like giving him little mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And then all of a sudden he came back to life. I woke up like in my bed. I looked down at my phone and it was 11:11. And I remember being like, oh my goodness, it's my sign. I'm going to be okay. So I went on this trip. This is when I really started to learn to listen to my inner voice, to really trust that inner guidance system, to connect with it. I went on this trip. I didn't really have a plan. And, yeah, it was a big teacher for me. I followed my heart right the way through. And at the time, I was really into hip-hop, conscious hip-hop actually. And I was listening to the likes of Joey Badass, A$AP Rocky, the Underachievers, and I had them playing in my headphones right the way through. And it's really interesting because at the end of this trip, I connected with some friends who are in the music industry over in East Australia, and they were playing at this show. And I had no idea who else was on the lineup, but I went and I ended up aligning with my friends. And all of a sudden, I find myself backstage, literally surrounded by every single artist that I had playing in my ears right the way through. So not only was I learning to trust my inner voice, I was seeing the magic in manifestation as well. So it's a really beautiful story that ends with me actually getting the little rabbit tattooed to my with the artist that I was listening to. at the time. Like, they were all sitting with me, and yeah, it was quite a magical experience for me. So when I returned home, everything had changed. I went back to my job in health, which I loved. And without going into too much detail, a new boss had appeared. And I actually experienced some very, very, very intense workplace bullying. I'm just going to say it because that's what it was. This was going on around my Saturn return. And the theme was essentially that I had to rise up against the injustice that was going on. Stay in my power, not drop into fear, and speak my truth. But I really struggled with it. I put up with it, and I put up with it, with what was going on. I just kept putting up with it. I didn't want to be seen to be making a fuss and a drama. Slowly but surely, it got too much, and I had absolutely no choice but to rise up and start to speak my truth. So I was encouraged to go forward with a formal complaint, and this was in public health, so this was huge. It was just me going up against giants.
Yeah.
So, it was extremely stressful, But something that I need to talk about here, during this time, I actually I went to this magical place in the hills back in Australian Perth, because I needed to go and find a crystal, a quartz crystal, and I went with a friend. And I remember we entered this place, and this lady came up to me, and she said, "Within 5 minutes, a man's going to appear. His name is Stan. He's going to give you a hug, and he's going to ask you how you are. And when he asks you this, you are to say perfect." And I was like, okay, why not? So
exactly.
It happened. 5 minutes time, like clockwork, this man appears. He's got this great big beard, comes up to me. He has his arms outstretched, he embraces me, and he says, "How are you?" And I said, "Perfect." And he goes, "Yes, you're learning." And I was just like, I was speechless. I remember there was this like case of second pieces of quartz, like all $5. And there was one that really caught my eye. And it was beautiful. Like, it had all of these cracks in it and rainbows. And I remember just picking it up and being like, what are those cracks? Like that. Anyway, I picked up this stone, and intuitively I was guided to go up to him, the magical man, and ask him what the cracks meant. He looked at the stone, and I've got it here. And he looked at it and he said, "I am so glad that you picked this up." And I was just like, whoa. I was really drawn into him. And he said, "I'm so glad you picked this up." And he proceeded to read my whole life from birth right up to that moment. Have I just frozen? No? Can you still see me?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Frozen on my screen. Yeah. He said, "I'm so glad that you picked this up." He read my life from birth right up to that moment. And then he had tears coming out of his eyes, and he said, "No, you know what? You're ready to come home. I'm going to take you home." And I was like, what do you mean? I was so speechless. And he said, "Don't ask questions. Come to my house Tuesday night, 7 p.m., and I'm going to take you home." And I did. During this time, I was preparing to go into these pretty intense meetings with the perpetrator at work, the executive team as well. It was very, very high stress in my professional life. And yeah, it was just such an interesting alignment that all of a sudden I'm being invited to this man's house in the hills to go home. And anyway, I went there. It was the night before my first meeting with my complaint, with my thing that I had to go through with. And I remember he sat me down and he took me astral traveling, essentially. I had no idea about star nations or other beings at the time. And he sat me down and took me on this guided meditation. My clairvoyancy hadn't reactivated then, but I was extremely clairsentient. And anyway, he took me up to this other planet, essentially. And it was extremely beautiful. The whole experience was just incredible. I remember feeling everything that was happening. And when we reached the peak of the astral travel, it is what it was, I guess. I remember he was like, can you feel your team around you? Can you see them? And if you could imagine like closing your eyes and looking at the sun, so seeing light through eyelids, it was kind of that sensation. I like my third eye, it became that pinky color. And I could feel just these loving beings around me. Anyway, the next day I was preparing to go into my meeting, and I had my phone in my pocket, and I remember walking through the hallway with absolutely no fear. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. I felt this group of beings around me, essentially. I just felt so supported, so loved, so protected. And I walked into the meeting and I had no fear. And I was able to eloquently and effectively speak my truth and not fall into fear. And it was incredible. That was such a strong teacher for me, that whole experience. Unfortunately, I did end up burning out. It was too much. The process was extremely drawn out. And I ended up having no choice but to surrender because of my health. Essentially, I ended up having a full adrenal burnout, I guess. But luckily for what I went through, I was given 2 years to recover, which was an absolute blessing. Yeah. And that's when my healing path really, really started. I had no choice but to fully surrender to it.
Yeah.
So, I started my healing path, which is where the next chapter of my story begins. I end up aligning with a Reiki master. I had no idea about that kind of stuff at the time. I moved into this beautiful 3-story home down in Fremantle, which is like where the majority of the healers live in Perth, where I'm from.
Wow.
The house had a long lineage of yoga teachers, healers, magical people that lived there before me, which is really interesting. And my old housemate confirmed and clarified that it was a Shakti house, essentially. It was a magical house. So I moved in there and started to go on a new journey, my healing journey. After I moved in and after I think of around 4 months and my health started to improve, I decided to book a little trip and go and see my baby brother who had moved to the UK. This is where my dream activations started to really kick in. I was guided to go vegan in a dream. So I did.
Wow.
Yeah. What else? Sorry, I'm going a little bit off here. I go visit my brother in the UK. I spent some time with him. And then I started having these dreams. Another dream that I had, it showed me in menopause that the way that I treated myself had a direct effect on my external world. So, yeah, it's hard to really explain, but kind of like heal thyself, heal the world, essentially. It was kind of the vibe that I was getting from the dream. While I was there, I could spend a bit of time with my brother, and then I was guided to go and see a second cousin that lived in country Essex. And as I was on my way there, all of a sudden I received guidance that I needed to go to Stonehenge. But not only did I need to go to Stonehenge, I was to take a piece of pyrite with me. And this made absolutely no sense. It made absolutely no sense. And I just remember being like, what is going on?
What?
But I didn't question it. I just kind of went with the flow. And anyway, followed my heart to my cousin's place. I remember when I got there, she took me to my bedroom, to the bedroom I was going to stay in. And I remember this moment like it was yesterday, and if she's watching this, she probably does too. But we got to the bottom of the stairs, and I looked up, and there was this sunlight, and hanging from the skylight was this red helium balloon. And because of the rabbit dream, and tears came out of my eyes. I was just like, what is going on? So I started to notice how my dreams were kind of manifesting into my waking life again. And it was like a poignant moment for me. I knew it was extremely important. It kind of marked this level of soul progression, I guess. Anyway, I stay at her place and start to prepare for my journey to Stonehenge. And as I was guided to do so, I went out to this marketplace to find my stone, my piece of pyrite that I was to take with me. Loud and clear, I had to take it with me. So I'm walking around this marketplace and I find my pyrite. And I was really cold. I had £10 left in my pocket. And I was like, right, well, I need to find something for £10 because I'm freezing. So I was walking around, stone in my pocket. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, this palm reader appears. And they were like, would you like a reading for £10? And I was like, absolutely. It was just like, yeah, I couldn't even question it. Made no sense. So I sat down and this palm reader took my hand and told me I would enter a relationship within the next 3 months. It would be very strong, twin flame style, that my partner and I would journey between 2 big countries far away from the UK. And I was just like, what? Like, it was crazy. But it was exciting as well. And then anyway, I said also that I'd work with my hands, which was interesting. So that went into the memory bank, into the soul bank. I went to Stonehenge with my piece of pyrite. I remember having this full crown activation. I know what it was now, but at the time, I remember like driving up over the hill and seeing the stone formations, and just like my whole head started to vibrate, third eye buzzing. And I remember being there, and my intuition, I was just being guided to hold this stone out in front of the formation, and it made no sense because I was surrounded by tourists who were all taking selfies, and there I was with my stone, just going with it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I do know now that was like, I believe it reactivated something that had closed within me, some part of my gifts. After that experience of surrender to that guidance, I was, full power. I started being taught things in dreams. I was having prophetic dreams, symbols. It was just full power for quite a while, and still is now. But things are a lot different now. But anyway, so I go back to my life in the healing house and recommencing my healing journey. Within one day of getting back to Perth, I went in and became a Reiki practitioner. I went into a course. That was incredible. Sorry, I'm just bringing myself up to speed here. The night of my my first course, because there's two. I'm a Reiki. I've been attuned to Reiki 1 and 2. But the night of the first course, I remember laying in my bed and having a dream and becoming lucid in the dream. And this voice, I was like in my bed, frozen, and this voice came into my right ear. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I could feel the breath like tickling my ear. So someone was whispering into ear. And the voice said, "Would it help if I told you that we are pure light in natural energy form?" And it was extremely special. It was extremely special. I remember waking up and it was like 1:23 a.m. and I was so excited to share this with my housemate at the time. It was incredibly special to me.
Were those your guides?
I believe so. I believe so. I think so for me, I spent a long time on the ascension path, figuring things out and it was like very experiential. So I think my mind has tried to make sense of this phenomenon, and I've just kind of realized that some things you can't really make sense of with the mind, but to me, it's more like, how did it make me feel? I was just in awe, absolutely in awe. I believe it was angels, 100%. 100%. Anyways, so it's interesting that you ask about the guides, because that's actually what I'm about to go into. So I made really good friends, beautiful soul sister, who I'm still very connected to this day, at my Reiki 1. And we went on this incredibly deep journey together, healing journey, up in the loft, had a Reiki table, and intuitively we'd run energy on each other, and my guides started to come through because she's clairvoyant. She could see them. I could feel them. And, it was so magical. One was a fairy godmother that communicated to me with rainbows. That didn't resonate at the time. I was just like, oh, that's really cute. Like, that's really cute. But the other, was a Sioux First Nation North American Indian. And he would come through. She would see him over my shoulder as I was running energy on her. She would see him directing my hands where to go. And anyway, we actually went on this beautiful journey with him. We made contact. We got the name of his tribe. He had been trying to get my attention with white feathers. And anyway, it did actually get to the point where we got the name of his tribe, and it was the Yaktona people. And when the name came through, I remember Googling an Indigenous map of North America, and lo and behold, there was the tribe, like right there near the Dakota, near Dakota. During this time, the twin flame concept was so loud in my world. It was everywhere. I kept aligning with people who were talking about it. I kept seeing the number 144, 444. It was like spirit was really trying to get my attention with the Hopi prophecy, the Condor prophecy, Rainbow Warriors, stuff like that. This is where I started to where the ascension started to really come into my awareness as well. And this is going back around 2 years now. This is when things started to really, really kick in for me with my awakening. Yeah. Where am I going with this? So
your twin flame, you were surrounded by all the twin flames that were coming into your you were seeing everything. So it was like twin flames were like popping.
Yeah, like the concept of twin flame, it really spoke to me deeply. I'm like, that's so me. Like ever since I was a little girl, I've always knowing that my soulmate was out there, like always. And yeah, it was very, very loud in my sphere. Very, very, very loud. So that kind of brings me to the next chapter, which is all I go into that in the next chapter of our interview. So I go into that journey, and it does. Yeah, it is the most sacred thing that's ever happened to me. So I don't know if we're well under the 1 hour right now, but
no, we could, no, it's fine. We can just let it flow, and just I want you to be able to share, which, wow, like even a song at age 10, right, that you sang about your soulmate. So
yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
And the song was literally about meeting my soulmate in a dream, which is really interesting because that's what ends up happening to me. When I did align with my twin flame, it was we did align in the astral, in the dream space first. So yeah, I don't want to give too much away because that's
No. But I'm just saying, age 10, like, no, I don't think anybody thinks of a twin flame, or a soulmate at age 10. That's just so awesome that you felt that and had that, and just, but, as you said, you were born with these gifts, and, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then speaking of the alchemist, wow, like this is a story of an alchemist, really.
Yeah.
Meeting the people along the way. Great book, by the way. If anybody has not read that, it's a great book.
Yeah, that was a very it's incredible. There's a lot of deep truths in that story for sure. I think that's very connected to the twin flame as well, even the alchemist. It's but it was quite a long time ago. I guess with what I've shared, I believe that our dream space is directly connected to our soul, to our hearts, and to that higher guidance. For me, what was really helpful was I did start to dream journal. And I don't know if anyone else is going through troubled times, I do really recommend to start dream journaling and igniting that connection to your soul, to your heart. That really helped me. That really, really helped me find the light to realign with that. And oh my goodness, it's so exciting to realize and to see the manifestations from dreams in the waking space. Yeah, it's it's pretty cool. So
yeah. And just the rabbit, I wrote down, you know, like the title of the show is Down the Rabbit Hole, the Journey. And I wrote down next to it, it's kind of like the dark night of the soul. So you go on this journey because it represented, it felt like it represented that you letting go of the bunny was you knowing that you were going to be okay, that you were going to be on this journey.
Exactly. It's like the surrender. Yeah, it's the trust, the faith, the surrender, this tiny little bunny. Even the symbolism in a rabbit. Like, what I didn't go into is that for a period of time, that rabbit actually kept coming back into my dream space. It guided me through my soul's progression, like, and especially in my healing path. Like, it would show up and it would mirror my waking life. Like, it's hard to explain, really, really hard to bring this in with human language, but it did visit me for quite a period of time. It kept coming back. Yeah, I don't so much see animals in my dreams anymore, but that was how it began. That was really how the light turned back on. It was a little bunny, and
yeah. And then when you saw it when you were at your cousin's, the red balloon, I mean, you know, what I just heard now is like chasing dreams.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That you see the red balloon.
Exactly. Yeah, that was an incredible moment. That was absolutely incredible to see that literally just appear. It was kind of like my higher self and my teams were like playing this joke. I don't know. But but it was also like a well done. You've made it. Like, you've reached this new sort of this new space, essentially. Like, you're out of the darkness or something. I don't know. It was very metaphorical, and the fact that it was hanging from this skylight and the sun was just pouring through. But it did mark
beautiful.
Quite an important place on my healing path at the time.
Yeah.
So I started to after my journey with my friend, my clairvoyant friend, I started to see people for Reiki myself, and that was where my gifts all activated. And that was a very beautiful time as well. I was able to help other people. I would actually have visions that would come through in the form of nature metaphors, which were quite incredible. So one lady, without going into too much detail to keep the confidentiality, she was having some trouble in her waking life, and she was stuck, and she didn't know quite how to navigate out of that stuckness. And I saw this hummingbird that came in, and that, look at this, I had this perfectly set up. I didn't even plan. And the hummingbird, and it was trying to drink from a flower, but it couldn't fly forward. And intuitively, my throat started to become uncomfortable when I saw what was going on. And intuitively, the message was that she wasn't speaking her truth. Like, she wasn't saying something. And if she were only to speak, then the hummingbird could fly forward and drink the nectar, and things would unlock, and the cogs and wheels would start to move in her waking life. So, yeah, I just said, like, darling, you need to speak. You need to speak your truth. And within like 1 week, she told me that her whole life had changed just because she'd been able to.
Wow.
She got the message. She spoke her truth. Everything shifted. She'd left a toxic situation in her waking life and realigned herself with something that ignited bliss. I can't go into detail because it's personal. Yeah. But you know,
absolutely.
It's beautiful. So I kept I kept seeing the nature metaphors within my own healings for others. So I guess the rabbit, the animal kind of aspects did continue on for a little bit there. So, yeah.
Well, even just seeing the elementals, and I mean, it's just so beautiful that you had this, you just followed your guidance the whole time. It's like there was no resistance. It was like, well, this is kind of weird, but okay. Was there any hesitance? I mean, any like hesitating that was like, I don't know, I'm not really quite sure. Did you have any of that?
Definitely. Feel very human.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, there's been times where I felt that no one understood me. There's been times where I've questioned my own sanity. There's been times where, like it was extremely difficult. I guess with the way that society is programmed, for someone to even come out and say these things, it's a bit taboo, really, isn't it? It's like,
exactly, yeah.
To not be open to this. I believe that everyone has the ability to see these things. I believe everyone is essentially clairvoyant. We all are.
Yeah.
It's been locked. It's So
definitely tapping into that for sure.
Yeah.
When you went on the trip, was it scary for you? Like, I mean, the first trip that you went on that yourself, so to speak, like it was the beginning, the trip that you had planned.
The trip that
you saw the bunny
partner wanted to travel, and that was really scary. Before. Yeah. One thing that I know is truth. Everything is far more scary before it happens. The mind is, oh my gosh, makes everything so much more scary than it needs to be.
That's a good point.
The mind is a tool for the heart. Yeah. What it's meant to be doing is taking this consciousness and putting it here and letting this thing lead the way. And then, like when that happens, everything changes. The mind becomes a tool. We actually can reclaim our sovereignty and powers of manifestation and recreate the world around us, the external. But it was very scary to begin with. But when I surrendered and I just trusted the path manifests itself. It really did. Everything flowed. It was exciting. It was magical. Fear is an illusion.
Yeah, it definitely is. But it can seem so real, when we're caught up in it, and until we realize that it really isn't. They say the acronym is false evidence appearing real, right?
Exactly. And, exactly. It is. Yeah. It is.
So then you just found out about your gifts when at the very end, when you started doing the Reiki. So did you realize, because you go to Stonehenge and you felt like that was really kind of an activation for you when you had the pyrite.
Yeah.
Is it pyrite? Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me personally, it's like intuitive hints come through. I'm guided to do these. I've been guided to do these things, and that was how it began. Like, because my mind would be like, this makes no sense. What's going on? But following through with stuff like that at the time, which seemed quite out there, I believe, it has activated different parts. It's reactivated different gifts that have come back online for me. Even in the act of doing something like that, getting so I feel guided to get a piece of pyrite, no explanation, just, okay, this is what's coming online, do it. Don't ask, just trust. And just in the act of doing that, it's almost like I've been rewarded with different aspects coming back online and things. And it's hard to really explain. It's been a bit of a trap for trying to make sense of all of this. It's like, don't think, just do.
The mind can go into a kind of a spin and just like, oh my gosh, and once it goes spinning, then there's like no way of stopping it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's 33 reactions and 33 comments.
Pardon?
I said there's 33 reactions and 33 comments on the dashboard.
Three.
I mean, I'm just talking about numbers. I love that. And I just noticed my light is not on, so I'm probably in the. It's a little darker here, but I just feel like, huh?
I said you look beautiful. I can still see you.
Okay, good. I just feel like it's kind of dark, but thank you. Yeah. Even then, just in your dream, you hear that it's like to go vegan, and you go vegan.
You know what it was? It was no shame. It was like a vision of. It was like me laying in shavasana, which is kind of like arms outstretched, the final pose in yoga. And there were just vegetables like all around me, and I can't. It was like like being crucified by veggies in some sense. Whoa, it was so powerful. Like I just had to. I knew what it meant. Intuitively, it's like, okay, I need to do this.
Wow.
I like animals as well. Like I just. Because of the programs, like how am I going to get enough protein, all of that, blah, 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 which is just all wrong anyway. I hadn't really looked into veganism, but then, I had the dream and I'm like, I have to go vegan. Like this is serious. And then, I'm glad that I did. I'm very glad that I did.
Oh, yeah. 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 It's so beneficial for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And also vibrationally, like not only is it better for the for the planet, better for the animals, better for the planet, better for us, vibrationally, like not ingesting death, lower vibration, like if we're on an ascension path to keep the vessel clean, we're meant to be raising our vibration as high as possible, keeping the vessel clean. Yeah. Radiating life.
Yes. Yes.
And suffering.
Rick talks about that too. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because he's, when he talked about how when they're killed, there's a lot of suffering, and that goes just right into our bodies. And so.
Absolutely. And anyone who says otherwise, it's like, guys, come on. Like I'm not one of those. I'm not an activist. I mean, because. I can't even see a photo of an animal in suffering because it affects me so hard. So I have nothing but, I take my hat off to every activist out there. What I'm saying is, I think I've gone off track, but you should go vegan.
Yeah, I did. I was never really a big meat eater anyway. But I just, for one of the shows that Rick and I had, all of a sudden I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. Yeah. And it was so easy for me because I wasn't a big meat eater, and I ate just basically chicken and turkey and stuff. But even when I just thought, I didn't really even want to do that. And so all of a sudden it was so easy for me because I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Did you ever feel like being like how things are programmed, right? Did you ever like consciously know what was really kind of happening out there, that we were being, the programming, the conditioning, or did that really there was something intuitively, or was it something that you learned afterwards?
For me, I learned a lot through my alignment with others. So when my own personal awakening really came online, I started to align with people that, how do I explain this, were perhaps vibrating a little bit higher. And I think that's what we're all doing, essentially. Like, we'll align with people that are at a higher level of knowing or awareness or vibration, and then we kind of lift each other to that next level of awareness. So for me, especially after I moved into the healing house, like our housemates, I had a housemate who came to live with me after the Reiki master left. And he was very conscious and very much into the conspiracy theories and different star nations and different YouTubers that were all speaking truth. And, that was very activating for me. Very activating for me. So, that I have learned a lot through other people, actually. But I do believe that's what we're all doing anyway. Everyone becomes, that's been incredible for me. Like, everyone, I'm at this place now where everyone's a teacher. Like, I'm at a place now where we're all one. Everyone, like, it's a beautiful place to be. But regarding your question, at the time, it was very much learning, figuring things out experientially, and then my awareness increasing as I aligned with people at a higher awareness. So the activation through personal energy exchange, interpersonal energy exchange.
I love it. It's so true. It's like we're teacher students all the time. We're never just really one, at one, like just a teacher, right?
Exactly.
We're learning at the same time. So I always see it as this like teacher student, we're teaching, we're learning, we're teaching, we're learning, you know what I mean? It's just kind of this ball that just energy is kind of just moving through us.
Exactly. It's incredible. It really, like, we're all like these little atoms just like floating around and activating each other, and experiencing these different reactions, and it's all beautiful. It's all alchemical.
Yeah, it is. Were you a really independent child, like growing up? Were you very independent?
Mom and Dad. I was quite a fearful child, actually. It's interesting. No, I wasn't, because I contracted for a long time. A big part of my journey was to really find my power and stand in my power. Wow. And that's been a huge theme for me. Not seeking validation outside of myself, not looking for answers outside of myself, not asking for others to light the way for me. But I wasn't very independent as a child. In fact, it was probably more leaning into the codependent, fearful child. So I had to reparent myself. I had to reparent myself. My parents are incredible people, but I'm just saying, at that soul level, I had to really realign, find my own truth, and figure out what was going on. Because for so long, I just didn't know. I didn't know where I belonged. I was just like, because I'm so sensitive, I had no idea that I was clairvoyant. I had no idea that I was a highly sensitive empath. I had no idea about any of those things. So I just thought, I just felt quite lost. It's a chunk of time, but
And seeking validation, how did you? What was it? Was it the people that you were meeting along the way that kind of helped you with that, or was there something inside of you that you realized, wow, like I'm seeking validation, and I don't really need to do that?
How did I figure that one out? That's been, that was highlighted to me through my twin flame experience, actually.
Okay.
The twin flame and how it literally activates people's wounds. It all down itself.
Yes, so we hear. Yeah, that'll be really good.
Yeah. So they were some of the final distortions that I needed to clear. Even having this interview with you is it's very big for me, because it's like, finally just.
Well, you're so beautiful inside out, and you're just so pleasantly there's this innocence and just playfulness in this. Like, wow, she's done all this and she's just so brave and fearless, So you have such a really good, your spirit is just amazing. So she's very gentle.
She's taking good care of me, Linda. And same to you. But I feel like we've entered this time where we're being called to action. That's what it feels like. Yeah. We really are. Yeah. It's all coming online. More and more people are waking up to this. More and more people are seeing beyond the veil, through the matrix. Even looking back, like 1 year ago, I would have never imagined being in the place I'm at now. I would never in a million years have imagined having this interview with you. Absolutely not. It would have been far too much. And it's kind of, for me, it's like perfect timing. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to shine my light and to help light the way to others. Like, more and more people realize that, fear is an illusion. It's all about speaking truth. It's time to rise up, essentially. It's time to lift this veil of separation, the illusion of separation.
Right. That's so true. Rick mentioned in one of his shows one time that we are not able to know the path that lies ahead because it would alter everything. And it makes so much sense. Like, if you would have known, if there's something that I would have known, I would have said, no way, I'm not doing that. And then it would have altered my whole path and I wouldn't be here, where I'm at today, same like you said, knowing.
I don't know if this resonates, but I feel like for me, it's fear is actually, that's the direction. It's if something, okay, so, all right, so taking it back for me, like say 2 years ago when my ascension really started to really come online, I was seeing, I started to notice people doing ascension work. It was so interesting to me. It was so mysterious. It was like portal work and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was triggering some fear inside of me. It was triggering some it's hard to explain, but I think it's almost a good. It's almost like that's the way to go. Like, walk into that fear. That's the gate to go through. Like, if something scares the shit out of you, there's something in it. Like, there's the growth.
Yeah.
That's the unresolved stuff that it's going to trigger to the surface. Like, anxiety, it's just energy that needs to be released. That full body,
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be a good compass, especially when it's triggered through other people or other themes that repeat themselves. It's like, okay, that's where the inquiry needs to go. If something scares the living daylights out of you, then go deeper into it.
Yeah.
That's what anyway.
I love that. Well, I'm going to, if you want, but I want to hear if there's anything you want to say before we open up to question and answer. Is there anything that you want to add to your beautiful story? Like, it's one of a journey. It really is like The Alchemist.
Well, what I would like what I'd like to add is that, yes, sounds awesome.
Yes.
I have nothing but love and forgiveness and acceptance to anyone that I've ever aligned with on my path. Sorry. It was really hard.
Don't ever be sorry.
It was really hard. It was really hard to go over all the things that I touched on. I had some fear around bringing some of that back up. So I do want to say that I have nothing but love, forgiveness, and peace for these people, for these experiences that I've had, and gratitude, because I love the person I've become. It hasn't been easy. It was extremely painful for a long period of time, but the last thing I want to do is to risk, unsettling things again, so peace.
I love it. Well, I can feel you, so I'm with you. Yeah, it's so authentically beautiful.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks for sharing yourself with us. Appreciate that. Oh, okay. So we're going to open it up to question and answer. So if anybody has a question for Kate, and I'm going to go down and see if there was any questions. I think there was.
I'm sorry for making you cry.
No, don't be sorry. No, you know what? It's touching. It's so touching. And so, I'm just appreciative of that.
Oh.
So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So, to me, that's a connection. There's a connection that happens.
Yeah.
When you can feel another. Yeah.
Bless you. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I mean, it's just beautiful. And there's not the sadness. There's just this, it's heartfelt. We can feel your heart. And I'm sure everybody else can too. Well, Laura's is saying, if I can read this, hold on one second here. Laura says, you are amazing, Kate. Thank you for sharing, and in love for all to know how this journey is amazing. Yes. That is so true.
You're incredible.
Yeah. So let's see. Anybody have any questions? Let's see. It could be. If you have a question you want to ask Kate, an awakening sign. I think she's just making a comment. Amazing, you're doing great. There's just a lot of beautiful thoughts here. Very blessed and very lucky you are. Yes, she is. She's amazing. Love and light, right?
Thank you.
She is the what do they call it? The antithesis or whatever that's called. Hung says we look like sisters. Well, no, no. I'll say she's so beautiful. Sisters. A lot of people say we're sisters. Okay, I'll be your sister. Well, I already am your sister.
Why not?
Completely. That's right. Yeah. Hey, from Cali. What is 1111? Barbara wants to know what 1111 is. Thank you, Barbara, for that question. Great question.
I don't know. I don't know. I believe, lots of people have different interpretations on the number sequences. For me, they're activations. I think, lots of different opinions regarding numbers. For me, I personally have a heart connection with the 144 and the 444, but that I go into more in the twin flame chapter of my story. But 1111, I don't know. I think it's think you need to feel into that. I think it's more, the numbers are personal, and I think that they can shift from being to being. For me, it just marked a place of, it was like an activation, and it was a sign that I wasn't alone, essentially. Yeah. How that came online for me was like, trust, breathe. Yeah. It's all okay. It's all an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that when you saw that number, you were asking for a sign.
I was asking for a sign, literally. I was so scared. I was asking for a sign, and that's what I got. And it was perfect. It was absolutely, it's all perfect, but that was like beyond.
Yeah. And I agree too. I think the numbers are personal. I think it's, if you see 444, I always try to look at what am I thinking at the time that I see something. Like I see 333 or 444. It's like, what am I thinking? And then if I'm just, not really remember what I'm thinking, then I always go back to my desires and my wishes and saying, I receive, and whatever that is that I'm, calling in. But, but I think a lot of people think, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, definitely. You can play around with it. You can visualize, meditate, visualize on what you want to call into your life, what you want to release. You can kind of do whatever you feel. Do whatever you feel. Yeah. Feel guided by the numbers to do.
I agree. And I think too, a lot of people say the 1111 is like the twin flames because it's the one and the one. So it's a twin flame.
Perhaps. But I think the one, for me personally, the 144, I don't know. I try not to apply any labels to things anymore. Right. It's like it's changing all the time. It's like it's more an alignment thing, I believe now. It's kind of like, what are we aligning to? What is the heart saying? How are we feeling? Is the mind clear? It could be a multitude of things. I believe in the numbers, as you were saying, Linda. I think they do line up with specific inner dialogue that may be online at the time. 1111. It could be like trying to get your attention.
Right. Yeah. I know Rick has said that when you see the numbers like that, that means like spirit's trying to say, okay, you just keep your vibration high, like those numbers, because you're like, oh my gosh, it's 444. Oh my gosh, it's 333. So your excitement and your vibration is higher. So it's kind of like, maybe, but again, it's like we can sit there and say, well, Linda says 11 means enlightenment. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then, Daniela says angel numbers, I call them too. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually at the beginning for me, just in response to Daniela, the angel numbers. I Googled that a lot. I Googled them a lot. Like, got really
your angels are with you. Yeah.
I love it. That was very. It was a good resource at the beginning, but now it's like today I was driving around and 144 everywhere. Like I was like quite nervous before the interview. I was like,
oh yeah, all right, sorry to get the light here.
Yeah. And it was just 144 everywhere, which is my personal soul mission. But I know that number is quite a popular number sequence among the Lightworker tribe coming online.
Yeah.
For the mass awakening, essentially. But the numbers are, I believe it's very very personal, and it varies from being to being, alignment to a state of awareness.
I agree. Well, thank you for that, Barbara. I hope that answers your question. And then Annette has a question. Does your family believe and support your journey? Thank you, Annette.
My family, I'm very blessed. I think they found it quite difficult with me. They I'm the rainbow sheep. I'm the rainbow sheep. But it's interesting because it's changing now. Like, they they've helped me a lot. But at the same time, with my own awakening, I believe it's having an effect on them now, and they're starting to see that I feel things are shifting there. They do support me, yes, 100%. 100%, but there were periods of time where I think they found it quite confusing and a little bit scary, just because it's that fear of the unknown. Like, how can one understand a child who's in tears because they can see spirits? How can one, how does one, know how to treat a child who's extra sensitive? It's good that things are shifting now, because more and more people are awakening to the fact that the children coming through now are all like all their gifts online, like, and that I think that's it's really really good that that's happening. But yes, my family are amazing and they support me. They support me 100%. So
that's awesome. It's always good to have that support and them understand you, in a way, or not really prevent you, and and kind of say, no, you don't need to do that. Where she was saying that she's had the reverse.
Oh, I've just lost you. What did you say?
Oh, and that said she had the reverse. She's the mother who woke up and left for the mission. Yeah.
And left the what?
And left for her mission.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is. It's quite remarkable how we're experiencing our individual how I explain it. It's remarkable how things kind of, it's all same but different, we like to say back in Thailand. But it's definitely, the path's not an easy one. It's not easy, and it does take a lot of faith and patience. Being on I'm just seeing things through my family's eyes. It would take a lot of, I guess, the same faith and patience.
Yeah.
They've learned how to hold back.
Yeah. Anybody have another question you want to ask her? Otherwise, we will close the show, but with one last question for Kate. Because we're going to have her on again. I believe we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Cool.
I know we have three more shows to do. So it's just going to get, really, like each step of the way. So I love that. Okay. So I have a question for you. I know, and I always say one thing, but there's many things I'm sure, but what's one thing so far on this journey that you've shared with us so far, because there's so many things you'll be saying before or after, that you've learned that helped you along your journey, that you can give the audience?
One thing that I've learned that's helped me on my journey: trust yourself.
Yes.
Above all else. Inner teacher. The teacher's in here, everybody. Inside the heart. Doesn't matter what's going on outside. Doesn't matter what people come into your life to try and influence. Go within. Go in here. Breathe. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's like, and gosh, I'm human. Sometimes I forget, but it's such a trap. Don't forget. Teachers in here always. Yeah. Always. hand on heart, easy. You can feel that. Close your eyes.
Yeah.
It's all here. Know your truth. Most important above everything else. Know your truth. Know that you're protected. Know that you're safe. Know that your soul is all you need.
Oh.
It's big. It's been huge for me to really melt into that. And every day, I mean, it's a daily practice. It really is. It's like, but don't forget.
So cute. I love it. Oh, Kate, it's just been so beautiful. I just feel so emotional. Aww. In a good way. Like I'm so touched, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's so real. Like Thank the you. Love is so real.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I really appreciate you being on the show, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 shows with you.
Oh, gosh,
so
me too.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in. All I can see is a 999, but I don't believe we've got that many viewers.
Oh, hey, you never know. Could be.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks.
So I thank you. Yeah, you're so welcome. Oh gosh, and thank you for all the viewers who joined us today and the ones who'll be joining us afterwards. Look for our next show will be on Monday, and I believe we're going to be talking about the twin flame journey. Yes, yes, that's the next show. So she'll be sharing her I don't want to say story, but her experience.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it. I do have to say
her journey.
A little disclaimer first. The opportunity to talk about my twin flame first presented the end of last year, and it didn't feel right at the time, but it is such a sacred story. But it's come up again, and yeah, it has to be done. I feel like there's something in it for others. So
yeah,
going to go through with it.
Yeah,
with full respect.
Yeah. Well, it'll flow and it'll be just perfect any way that it comes out. But I think too that because I think there's a lot of people that so many people talk about the twin flames, and people that I have talked to that have been through twin flames and then they've separated or whatever, you know, there is this, you learn so much.
Always. It doesn't stop. And
yeah,
like I wouldn't be here aligned with you. I wouldn't be in California with like in alignment with my mission. I wouldn't be doing any of this if I met mine. So
yeah,
it's a huge catalyst to align with the soul purpose and the higher.
Yeah.
It's like a gateway to the higher. So it's a big one.
Yeah. It is. Well, we'll look forward to that on Monday, you guys. So thanks so much. We appreciate you. Love you for tuning in, and the ones again who'll be tuning in later. Kate, thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much. You're so welcome. Stay on afterwards, and I'll chat with you for a little bit if you don't mind. Okay, cool. We'll see you guys later. Love you. Thank you. And you want to say anything to the...
Thanks, everyone. For watching.
Oh. Yes. All right. Love you guys, and we will see you on Monday. And thank you again for all your beautiful comments and just being here. We love you. Thank you. Bye.